Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on your Tuesday morning. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Great to have Dr. Crane back. We didn't get our Tony Tuesday last week. We did double up the week before, so it's all good. But glad to have Nick Frazier back in studio.
Glad to be back on the show with you, Jake. It's a lot of fun as always. So this should be a fun show.
It is going to be a fun show. We're gonna play a little game later this hour around the NCAA tournament, and also we are going to do Next Man Up Mock Draft 1.0.
Yes,
we're a little over a month away from the draft, so we are going to go through all 32 first-round picks. We're going to rotate. We will be quick. We're not going to drone on and on about who's getting picked 27th, but we're just going to go through. We're going to see what we end up with, and we'll do this again later as we get closer to the draft. But I do want to start with, of course, when Nick Frazier is in, we start with baseball. WBC final is set tonight. I'm sorry about your Italians last night.
That's okay. Look, I'm content with the result. Overall, Team Italy overachieved. I think we all know that. But I just got to give a little tip of the cap to the Kansas City Royals organization. They have Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, Jack Caglione. There's multiple players from that Royals organization. So hats off to their young, scouting department. And, let's see what happens tonight.
That is true. The Royals, they had players on all three teams that were left in. I don't know if there was anybody on the Dominican team.
Maybe one or two.
What a game on Sunday night. I mean, that pitch was down. Everybody knows it. But the umpire made the call. And here we are.
I will plead the fifth and bite my lip on that call. I don't care. Look, if you're a baseball fan, which we all are in a roundabout way, like that ball was over the plate. And I get it was a little low, but at the same time, you got to defend the plate a little bit. Like you got to at least go down swinging.
Yes, it's 3-2. You got two strikes on you. I would say that typically you want to not leave it in the umpire's hands. That pitch was not close, though.
No.
Like it's different if it was half a ball down and it's like, all right, well, you left it up to the umpire and you lost. That was like a ball and a half down.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because the whole game was officiated well. Like I thought the umpires, at least I counted on one hand, like 5 missed calls at the plate. Overall, that was a great game.
No, and that's why the challenge system is great. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday of like the challenge system is great because umpires, they have a very tough job and they're very good at it, but they are human and you don't want calls like that deciding games. And if that's not the greatest, advertisement for the challenge system, it was what we saw on Sunday night. I don't know what is. So I'm excited for that to be in Major League Baseball. Last night, Venezuela beats Italy. So U.S. and Venezuela tonight. Nolan McLean gets the ball for the U.S. Man, young guy, just made his MLB debut last season. He was the pitcher against Italy, correct? Who struggled a little bit. So
9 ERA.
This is going to be fun tonight. The U.S. trying to win the title, fell short 3 years ago against Japan. Venezuela, they've made a nice little run here. Upset Japan, the quarterfinals, comeback win last night against Italy. I'm excited. 7:00 tonight, going to be fun.
Yeah, the other night with the Dominican game, there was only one pitch in the world that could have gone up against the DR, and that was Paul Skeens. So kudos to him. Hats off to that. But as for Noah McLean, I mean, has a pretty decent MLB record, 5-1 overall. I think like sub 2.5 ERA. So I mean, you're gonna have some ups and downs on the bump tonight, but golly, you can't have the performance you had against Italy. And again, Venezuela is a tough team to battle against.
Yeah, let's hope he learned from it. And now that he's got that experience under his belt, he's feeling better. But I'm rooting for the U.S. tonight. Bring it home. Try and sweep hockey, baseball. 2 years ago, we got basketball, football, of course. I mean, all four major sports the U.S. could have the championship in, even though football there's no technical football world championship.
Overall, we can say Canada is the little brother of the United States of America.
That is true. That is true. We confirmed that on Friday night. So
overall, it should be a good one tonight.
Yes.
They've had an extra day rest. So
right.
Put that into factor.
That is huge. And I don't know who's pitching for Venezuela. Is it anybody
that I do not
all that
know.
menacing?
I don't believe so. They used a lot of pitchers last night.
Right. That's the tough thing. I don't know how they format the schedule where it ends up Venezuela has to pitch the night before. Oh, it's Erod. Eduardo Rodriguez.
Former
Tiger, yeah, who he did not leave a great taste in Tigers fans' mouth because the Tigers tried to trade him and he blocked it at the last minute because he had a no trade clause. So
Hasn't been great in Arizona either. So let's put that out there.
People on the text line are saying you can't take that pitch in that situation. It would. I haven't looked at like the actual StatCast like view of it, but based on the box on the screen, you're not supposed to swing at a pitch that's clearly out of the zone. And that one was not. I would disagree. I think that ball was not close enough that he should have been swinging at it. But again, it happens in baseball, and if it happened to the U.S., we'd be complaining about it too. So it happens. The U.S. moves on. The DR can complain like they did. I mean, Juan Soto and Nate McKinnon both have. Oh, we showed who the best team in the world is today. Well, you lost.
Yeah, I mean, you can destroy Nicaragua and Venezuela and what other Puerto Rico all in pool play and just run rule them in 3 innings. That's fine. But when it comes to the semifinals, you got to show up, and they did for the most part. It's just
it was a good game.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you got to look at it. I just saw the ball as it broke right on the front lip of the plate, and I get where it misses the K zone a little bit.
Right.
And then you frame it with Will Smith along with the break of the ball.
It was a breaking ball. Like it's a slider, so it's not like it's a fastball, and you could easily see it came in low. I understand why they missed the call, and I get what people are saying is like you got to protect the plate with 2 strikes. I just think you look at that and you say it was pretty clearly out of the zone. If you're not taking that pitch, which pitches are you taking? Unless it's just completely in the dirt or something like that. So excited for tonight, U.S. and Venezuela, 7 o'clock. It's going to be a multi-view kind of night because we got the first 4 starting tonight. What games? Is it Texas, NC State tonight to lead us off? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So, sorry. The biggest game of the night, of course, is UMBC and Howard at 5:40.
The 2 16 seeds, baby.
I mean, go Retrievers. Who would the Retrievers play if they move on? It would be Michigan. Michigan already has one of the biggest football upsets ever with App State. UMBC has one of the greatest upsets in March Madness ever. Could we combine those?
I actually have a funny story about UMBC.
Go ahead.
So my cousin is in town from Baltimore, and she actually graduated from VCU, and I was looking at her bracket last night, and she has VCU and UMBC going to the national championship game.
I love that.
And we placed a nice friendly wager that was not going to happen. So she thinks that UMBC is going to win tonight and just go all the way. So
wow. The Retrievers from first 4 to the national championship.
We were talking about that not even an hour ago.
That is hilarious. And VCU, who, again, we talked about it yesterday, if they hadn't won the A-10, they wouldn't have made the tournament.
Right.
So, man, the Rams and the Retrievers.
From last 4 in and first 4 out to natty, baby.
One shining moment. I love it. We're going to get into the bracket a ton throughout the show today. But, yeah, we'll get UMBC and Howard at 5:40 tonight. Texas and NC State. Little bit of a surprise that NC State has to play in the first 4. Texas, is this 2 years in a row for Texas in the first 4? I want to say they were in it last year.
I feel like
as one of the last 4 teams in.
Yeah.
Or maybe was that 2 years ago?
What it might have been 2 years ago because Mississippi State was in the bracket. I think they were.
Yeah.
I have to double check for you.
I always forget the years run together with some of these, but
a decade runs together for me, Jake. I don't know what to tell you there, man. Let's see.
Yes, they were in it last year. They played Xavier.
So,
yes. So 2 years in a row in the first 4 for Texas. They'll play NC State tonight. Excited to officially tip off the NCAA tournament. When we come back, we will get into some of the big storylines, get Dr. Crane's thoughts on the bracket. Coming up at 9:30, we're going to play a game. We're going to draft some Cinderellas here. And we're going to see who can pick some of the biggest upsets that are going to happen in both tournaments. I will explain the rules later on. It's going to run kind of like silly underdog picks, but for basketball. So we're going to draft some Cinderellas, and we are actually going to keep score. Something that we don't do on this show very often Usually it's just, we're going to make some picks and we'll forget about them. We are going to keep score and keep track of this throughout the tournament. So we will do that coming up at 9:30. I'll explain the rules in a little bit. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. We'll talk March Madness on the other side, off and running on this Tuesday here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. It is the week of March Madness. I heard you guys had a very interesting question of the day yesterday around this. And it's funny because it tied in. We had a texter text in yesterday about how back-to-back years he's gotten surgery. Not that surgery, but like
Say next Michael Scott.
a different type of surgery during this week, just randomly. And he's like, it's the perfect week to have surgery. So it was funny when I heard Big Joe say, are you getting a vasectomy this week? I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it would make sense. This is the week to do it. Best couple of days of the year, Thursday and Friday.
When they said that question today, like our sales department blew up over the emails. I'm like, why is this so popular?
Well, I loved Big Joe. You ready for this? Before he said it. And I was not ready for it. That was not what I thought was going to come out of his mouth.
No, I thought he was going to say something like, where's your favorite vacation destination or something like that.
I knew it was going to be something like March Madness related, like day after the brackets come out. I assumed it would be that. I did not think it would be snip, snap, snip, snap. Which, by the way, great job on the mashup with the Michael Scott there.
Thank you.
That was really
Much
well done.
appreciated on that.
But it is one of the best weeks of the year. I'm excited that, Thursday and Friday will be on the air as the games start. But after that, I'll probably head over to Vandy a little bit, get ready for the game on Saturday. But for the most part, get to settle in and just watch basketball all day, which is great. I love it. And it's nice the way the schedule's worked out. You get Vanderbilt on Thursday afternoon, 2:15 start against McNeese. Then Tennessee, you got the men and the women on Friday evening. So I really like the way the schedule worked out in terms of viewing for our listening area. And for Vanderbilt, I think the draw is pretty good. I know there's complaints about they're underseeded. You look at the metrics, you look at the eye test, you look at the resume, and you say, there is no way Vanderbilt should be a 5 seed. I think you can make the same argument for St. John's in the East region. They shouldn't be a 5 seed. But you got to look at who they're playing, right? Like, outside of getting a tougher opponent in the first round, you have to play 12 seed McNeese, which is probably tougher than a 13 seed like Troy or Cal Baptist or something like that. But outside of that, I think Vanderbilt's draw is pretty good to get yourself to the Sweet 16 and get another chance at Florida, who you just beat this week.
Yeah, I think the only team I worry about, just in a roundabout way, is Clemson. I don't know why. They're just a good perimeter shooting team. Sure, they take some of into the third round that they'll have to play them in. But again, if you're trying to make a deeper run, that's one team I'd be worried about. Nebraska, on the other hand, that's their second round matchup if that is the case. If both the top seeds went out their first round. Nebraska is a tough team as well. But overall, yeah, you're right, Jake. This is a Vanderbilt team I think that has proven themselves through SEC play, and also their out-of-conference schedule at the beginning of the season. So overall, I think what Mark Byington has done, he structured that entire schedule to where it'll build up to this, to where they can be ready for the occasion. And, kudos to them and all the Vanderbilt athletics because they're just flourishing on all cylinders.
Vanderbilt is one of those teams that I think high ceiling, low floor in this tournament because of the streakiness of their shooters. Tyler Nickel is the big example. And I think you feel a lot better about that after his performance on Sunday. 5 of 7 from long range. That was a much needed performance from a guy who is a little bit hot and cold at times. You hope that he's heating up at the right time. Duke Miles has played really well. Tyler Tanner, maybe not his best game on Sunday against Arkansas, but he's been the rock for this team. And you've seen some of the supporting cast step up. Jalen Washington was sensational on Saturday against Florida. Devin McLaughlin has at times been a guy who can step out and hit some threes. He did it against Florida on Saturday. You've seen some of the bench, Chandler Bing and Jaden Leverett and A.K. Okereke. They've stepped up. But there also is the downside of that of if Tanner and Miles and Nickel, if they go cold and they're not hitting from outside, this also could be a team on upset watch on Thursday. So I think there's a high ceiling. This is a team, you look at Vanderbilt in this draw, I see no reason why they can't go to the Elite Eight, right? Like, it's not going to be easy, but McNeese, Nebraska, and Florida, beating Florida again is easier said than done, but you have proof of concept. You did it. I could see them going to the Elite Eight. I could also see them being one and done. So it's all going to be about, can they peak at the right time? They looked good this week here in Nashville. Can they repeat it in Oklahoma City this weekend?
Yeah, McNeese State, they're a sneaky team with it being a 12 seed. all season long, from whatever updates that I've gathered on the ESPN app or just college basketball in general, following them, they're another good perimeter shooting team. And again, that's the biggest key in March Madness time is if your team's hot at the right time, especially on the perimeter, you're not going to win the game down low. You got to match a spade to a spade because that is just not going to work.
Teams get hot from outside. That's why Cinderella teams, like I always think of Oral Roberts a few years ago with Max Asmus, and that dude just could not miss for 3 straight games and took Oral Roberts to the Sweet 16. St. Peter's was kind of similar. Teams that get hot in March, usually it's because they're draining from outside. Like they're knocking down shots from outside. Vanderbilt is one of those teams that has elite shooters, but it's been up and down. They lost 7 out of 13 at one point because their shooters weren't making shots or Duke Miles wasn't healthy. Can they stay healthy? Can they stay hot? That's going to be the question for Vanderbilt. Again, I think it's high ceiling, low floor. They could be one and done. McNeese could totally beat Vanderbilt on Thursday. I wouldn't pick them to. I'm picking Vanderbilt, but it could happen. But I think they could also end up playing Houston in the Elite Eight, which playing Houston at home would be tough. But for Tennessee on the other side, I think there's a little bit of a more narrow range of outcomes. I don't know if I can see Tennessee making it to the Elite Eight, but I also think Tennessee is going to beat whoever comes out of that play-in game between SMU and Miami, Ohio.
Interesting. I think a little differently. Obviously, I could be the college basketball general fan here, but for Miami of Ohio playing, it's a 31-1 team overall. Like I get the way they play basketball is very elementary. Like you're just kind of passing the ball around, facilitating it, and just milking clock as much as possible. But at the same time, that can frustrate a team that's really good, like a SMU or a Tennessee.
I think Miami, Ohio is more a good story than a good team.
I agree. Yeah.
They went 31-0 in the regular season, but if you actually like dive into some of those games, they had a lot of overtime games, a lot of games where they were giving up close to 100 points. I just think Tennessee, their defense is good enough to slow down Miami of Ohio, and Miami of Ohio's defense is not going to be able to slow down Tennessee enough. So I like Tennessee to win their opening matchup. They could beat Virginia. I don't see them going past that. So I look at it as a more narrow range of outcomes for Tennessee. I think they're a Sweet 16 team or around a 32 team. I don't know if they're going to be a first-round exit or a team that can actually make a run to a third straight Elite Eight.
Yeah, and that makes me question what the future is for Rick Barnes because we've all talked about this on this station before. Of like one day, and Parker even mentioned it perfectly after one of the press conferences. One day he's like, "Yeah, I can be done," or the other day it's like, "Yeah, let's go for another season" type thing. It's just you don't understand his energy for the most part. You can't get a true gauge on his future, and I wonder what that does for the future of the program in general because it's not just him; it's everything else that follows behind it.
Yeah, and that's a big question. And we had the whole discussion a few weeks ago about Vanderbilt and Tennessee and where the athletic departments were trending. And one of the big questions at Tennessee overall is how long is Rick Barnes going to be there? And what happens next? Like, can you go get a guy who's going to be able to sustain the success Rick Barnes has had? Yes, they haven't gotten to the Final Four, which that's something that Tennessee fans you got so close the last couple of years, and Zach Edey and Purdue, the year you had Dalton Connect, but he's been really good and had sustained success. Can you repeat that with whoever his successor is? That's a big question for Tennessee.
Yeah, the big if for sure, but you also got to put in the factor of the NIL and recruiting because I don't know if, again, obviously Tennessee has the boosters to back whatever they want to do, right? I mean, they've always been known to, back any athletic, team they have out there. But at the same time, you wonder if Rick Barnes keeps up with the times. Again, I'm not saying these older coaches are not keeping up with the times, but yet, Father Time's undefeated, and the ideas that people are bringing to the table are a little bit more new gen rather than the old gen. That's why you see Coach K phased out. That's why you see Nick Saban phased out of college football.
Yeah,
because they have a different agenda. They want to focus more on the player than the money, and a lot of these players now focus on the money than the actual team.
Well, Rick Barnes, at the very least, you look and you can see that he has utilized the new era, right?
Right.
Like Dalton Connect was a transfer portal guy, and he brought him in. I know he was Northern Colorado or something like that. Yeah. So it wasn't like he was like number one guy in the portal, but he went and found a superstar in the transfer portal who came in and elevated his program. This year, you were able to go get one of the elite NBA draft pick, one and done type of guys in Nate Amen. So I think Rick Barnes has done a nice job of adjusting to the times, but I do get your question of, does he want to continue to adjust to the times? Like Nick Saban was like, I'm out. You can do it. Nick Saban was still successful when NIL came about, but does he want to keep doing it is the question.
Yeah, because at some point that just takes a physical toll on your body. Like, all right, mentally, I cannot do this anymore. Like, if I want to get a good recruiting class in here, I got to start from ground zero, sort of. But like you mentioned with Nate Ament, you bring in a one and done type guy. How long can that system really work?
Right.
Under the NIL era? Because obviously we've seen it under Coach John Calipari in the past. Is that really working for him a little bit? It kind of still is. I mean, Connor's mentioned before, like, oh, it's the same guy, just in a different, uniform. No, I think his system works well. But as for a guy in Rick Barnes, I don't know if it will.
I hope Connor's not listening, and Kentucky fans. I agree with what Joe and Chase were saying yesterday on the show. Kentucky fans, I think, wish they had a redo.
Dude, I brought it up to Connor on Saturday. I was like, hear me out, Connor. Like, what is it with Kentucky and Arkansas? Are Kentucky fans regretting moving on from John Calipari? He goes, no. He goes, I like the recruiter as a coach. I don't like him as a coach.
Is it like a Vrabel situation?
I feel like
everybody outside of that Kentucky fan base looks at it and says, why would you you don't know what you got until it's gone. The grass isn't always greener. You should have held on to Cal and not forced him out. But I think for Kentucky fans, they got tired of his shtick. And it's like, hey, you're not winning. You're losing to double-digit seeds every year in the NCAA tournament, and you're still the same, jerk that we've gotten used to. And same thing with Vrabel and Calipari. It's like, you love it when he's winning. You love the shtick. But when you're losing, it doesn't sit quite as well. I wonder if that's the same thing. And everybody on the outside is like, man, Kentucky fans must be really missing Coach Cal. And on the inside, they're like, not really.
I don't know, man. It's a tough fan base to get a true gauge on, because if I'm a Kentucky fan, which I'm not, but if I were, I'd be missing Coach Cal immediately. Like, I'd be like, all right, we made a big mistake. Like, Titans fans in the front end of it are like, yeah, we
were ready for
mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
But now all of us are like, yeah, we kind of wish we had Vrabel the last couple of years.
Right.
So,
and again, it took them a couple of years to find the successor.
Right.
And now they're at that point. So you wonder if that's the same thing for a team in Kentucky. If, Mark Pope is the guy of the future. They don't know yet.
I will say I agree with, I know Connor was making the point of Darius Acuff is not the best freshman point guard that Coach Cal has ever had. He's not, but I think he's closer than Connor wants to admit. Like, John Wall is, at least from what I remember, I loved watching John Wall at Kentucky. John Wall would be that's the number one guy.
Bingo.
But Darius Acuff probably isn't too far behind.
The way he plays basketball, the fact that he could play from whistle to whistle, from tip off to all 4 zeros hit the clock, and he's not fatigued at all. To me, that is a true basketball player right there.
Yeah.
No weakness at all. He's good to go.
And they've got Hawaii out in Portland coming up, and that is tomorrow night. Thursday night.
I know all my days.
I forget what day it is sometimes.
Yeah.
It's St. Patrick's Day.
At 2:45.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not wearing green, so
it's all right.
You got it on. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. When we come back, we're gonna play a little game here. We are going to pick some Cinderellas, and if you have any dark horses that you're looking at, and you filled out your bracket and you've got a double-digit seed going into the Final Four, you let us know. We are going to pick our Cinderellas coming up next. If you need a bracket to fill out for the NCAA tournament, head to thegamenashville.com/mayhem and print off your bracket today. Presented by Toyota. Fuel your adrenaline at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by Maple Street Biscuit Company and Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5. The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Before we get into our game here, I do want to mention a couple of things. William from Madison on the text line points out Derrick Rose is the best freshman point guard Coach Cal ever coached. Derrick Rose deserves to be in that conversation too. I was a little young for the Memphis days. So,
right.
But yes, Derrick Rose for sure deserves to be in that conversation. And also Kalina on X said, no love for the local Tigers. I do want to shout out Tennessee State. Again, Nolan Smith in the tournament for the first time in over 30 years. They are a 15 seed. Could one of us pick them as our Cinderella here? So let me explain the rules. This is kind of like silly underdog picks that DVD does in the fall. We are going to pick 3 Cinderellas. One has to be from the men's bracket. One has to be from the women's bracket. The other can be either. They have to be double-digit seeds. All right, so we're going to go through snake draft style. We're going to pick these. And the point system is you get points for every win. It is the seed number times the round. So if 13 seed Troy beats Nebraska, you would get 13 points. If 10 seed UCF goes to the Sweet 16, you'd get 10 for their first round, 20 for their second round win. We understand?
Beautiful. Yep.
All right, let's do it. I randomized the order. Parker, you have the first pick. Who is your men's Cinderella?
My men's Cinderella, and I've shown a lot of love to this team, and they've actually reciprocated some of the love.
Okay.
So I have no choice. High Point. High Point is
Okay.
the 4th highest scoring team in men's college basketball. They play Wisconsin. I think this has the chance to be the best first round game because it is going to be fireworks. I love High Point. So give me High Point, 12 seed.
I'm just very glad you didn't say that for the women's side.
Randy's first round.
Yes,
Give me
that's
them for the women too.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Give me the Panthers. All right. I am going to go with, on the men's side, I'm going to go with one of Parker's wives' favorite. Number 11, VCU. Give me the Rams.
A good pick.
I'm
That's a
going with
good
VCU. 11 seed. They play North Carolina. Missing star freshman. I kind of like it.
Yep.
Nick, who is your pick?
I'm sticking around with the SEC. I'm going with number 10 seed Texas A&M.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's you catch them on a good day, that's great. If you catch them on a bad day, yikes.
Buckyball
Yeah.
is Nick's pick. So, and I did want to mention too, play-in games do not count. So,
Okay.
like if you pick Texas and they beat NC State tonight, you wouldn't get any points for that. We're not counting play-in games.
Yeah.
You're allowed to pick them, but it just doesn't count for your points. All right, we're going snake order here. So, Nick, women's bracket, who is your Cinderella?
So my women's bracket Cinderella, I'm not as well versed, but there is one team every time I turn on the FS1, they're always playing.
Okay.
It's Villanova. A 10 seed.
Okay, you're going Big East there.
Yeah.
Villanova, and they are playing Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
I like your chances to get at least one win there.
Yeah.
LSU coming up, probably not. But
I know.
all right, so you're going 10 seed Villanova. I am going to go. I'm going to go against my SEC bias here.
Oh no.
Give me 11 seed Rhode Island, who is playing Alabama in the
Wow.
first round. I'm going to go with Rhode Island. The Rams. I'm going with Rams for both of my teams. I got VCU and Rhode Island, both 11 seeds.
Can
There you
find
go.
Jake Lyman on a farm at 4 p.m. today. All right.
Parker, who you got?
I feel like Jake's going to smoke us both, Frazier, in this. I don't know a lot about this team. I filled out my women's bracket last night. I just have a good feeling, and I can't really explain it. I have an affinity for the Dakotas.
Okay.
So give me the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State versus Washington.
That's a
in round
very
one.
good pick. I like that. All right, 11 seed South Dakota State. All right, wild card picks. Parker, you get to go again. This could be men's side. This could be women's side. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I actually should have went with this team first, but I'm happy that they're still on the board, and that is Santa Clara. I
Okay.
have Santa Clara going to the Sweet 16 this year. I think they beat Kentucky in the first round. I think they play Iowa State. I think Iowa State's very good. They have the potential to make the Final Four, but Iowa State's also a little bit streaky at times. I think Santa Clara gets 2 in a row, and they end up in the Sweet 16.
Kentucky fans are not going to be happy with our show today.
Oh no.
Picking against them there. Let's see. Do I go men or women? I got two options. Both are still on the board. I'm gonna go back to the women's bracket here, and I am going to take another 11 seed.
Oh,
Actually, no. I'm pivoting. I'm going back to the men's
scratch
side.
it.
I'm between two here. I was gonna go Fairfield on the women's side against Notre Dame, but instead I'm taking South Florida against Louisville
Okay.
in the first round here. So give me the Bulls of South Florida. I'm going 3 11 seeds as my three. Nick, last pick here.
I messed up all my picks. Now that I look at both boards, I messed up all my picks. I'm going with the women's side. This one,
Okay.
it should have been my original pick, but I didn't look at the board well enough. Going with Murray State, 12 seed.
Oh, okay.
31-3. I think this might be a team that
The
catches
Racers.
some stride, But overall, I wanted to take in the men's bracket TSU. Like I feel like I feel like that's bad on my part not to do that. So
I don't hate that pick there of Murray State against Maryland.
yeah, it's a doable upset.
That region in particular is really interesting. Maryland is a good team. North Carolina is a good team, but neither of them are like elite. Western Illinois was one that I was contemplating here. They have one of the top 4 scorers in the country on their team. They did lose to the Tennessee State women's team this year. I will say that, but they won the OVC. That could be a team that maybe pulls off an upset. All right, so we have our Cinderella picks. We are going to keep score here, and we will check back in next Tuesday on this. How many of our teams are still in the field? How many points we have? Again, there's an okay chance that all of us end up with 0, and this is pointless.
Yeah.
But right now, Parker has from the men's side, 12-seeded High Point and 10-seed Santa Clara. On the women's side, 11-seed South Dakota State. I've got all 11 seeds on the men's side, VCU and South Florida, and then Rhode Island on the women's side. Nick has Texas A&M on the men's side, and then Villanova, a 10-seed, Murray State, a 12-seed on the women's side. So we will check back in and see if any of us can predict who's going to make a Cinderella run this year.
Let's go Murray State. Final 4, baby.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have any Cinderellas, any teams that you think are going to make runs on either tournament this year, we will take them on the other side. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Come play hooky with 102.5 The Game this Thursday at Jelly Roll's Goodnight Nashville and on Friday at Boomba's in East Nashville from noon to 6 p.m. Watch the basketball games with us, enjoy great food, handcrafted beverages, and win prizes. The NCAA tournament coverage on 102.5 The Game is presented by Toyota, Thompson Machinery, and Pizzona MD. We just made our Cinderella picks. Want to hear from you. 615-737-1025. Who do you think could make a run as a double-digit seed this year? We will keep score on this. All of us stayed between 10 and 12. None of us went big and went with like a 13 or 14 seed, which it's fair, right? Because the odds of those teams making a run beyond the second round is pretty low. But if you get one win from them, that could be big with the seed number there. There are a couple teams I was looking at that I was a little surprised didn't get picked. Missouri is one that I thought somebody would take. 10 seed. They're playing in St. Louis. Purdue is coming off a Big Ten title. Maybe they're ripe for an upset in the second round. Missouri would be one that I kind of thought might get a look there.
Yeah, Missouri was on the radar, but I was like, you know what, A&M, I had to pick one or the other, right?
If I was going to go with like a 13 plus, I feel like Hofstra is the one I would look at.
Yeah, I mean, they have a decent pool there. I don't know. Looking more into the TSU realm of that quadrant.
Yeah,
I could see it like Parker saying if Santa Clara ends up winning and say TSU pulls off the upset, that might be a possibility. But Hofstra is interesting. I don't know what led you to that one.
Alabama, there's some stuff going on there.
Well, yeah, I heard about
that.
Yeah,
I just don't know. They just got upset by Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. Like maybe that team is trending in the wrong direction as March goes on here. Hofstra, and then Texas Tech and Akron. Is Texas Tech healthy? I know they've been missing. I'm blanking on his name. One of their key players,
JT Toppin.
Yeah. So Texas Tech, I don't know if they're going to be like, that's one where I could see it end up being Akron Hofstra in the second round and one of those teams move on. So that would be my pick. That Midwest region overall, I think might be the chaotic region.
Yeah.
Like maybe Wright State, Virginia, we know is always known for an upset or two here and there. Santa Clara, Tennessee State. I kind of like that Midwest region to be chaotic. But overall, I think we're going to go pretty chalk in terms of the teams who are actually competing for a national championship.
How crazy would it be if Tennessee and TSU, Tennessee State University,
in the Sweet 16?
Met up in the Sweet 16.
That'd be hilarious. Nolan Smith, if he gets Tennessee State to the Sweet 16, becomes the hottest name on the job market. Like, I don't know what jobs are opening up that he would go to.
Well, Chase McJoe mentioned here in town, Belmont. I don't know if he'd want,
Well, if he takes him to the Sweet 16, he can shoot higher than Belmont. I know Memphis was one that was named. He was on staff with Penny Hardaway, but I think Memphis just announced that Penny's coming back.
Right.
So Nolan Smith not going to go there. But if he takes Tennessee State to the Sweet 16, there would not be a job he couldn't get, I don't think.
Yeah, and obviously the Duke job's not open because John Shire's doing a really good job there.
Yes,
so,
obviously, yeah.
I don't know where that's a good question. Where would a Nolan Smith go? And I don't see anything. I mean, look, if you're asking me, I'm being a homer saying this Mississippi State might need a new head coach because Chris Jans is just not cutting it. I mean, we just can't revolve our offense around Josh Hubbard 24/7. It's just not going to cut it. So, hey, Nolan Smith, if you want to go to Starkville, I have good recommendations, not only for food, but for places to stay.
Let's see. I'm looking and seeing if there's any like jobs that are expected to open up. Syracuse, but I feel like Syracuse is one of those programs that kind of likes to go within the family a little bit. Like
they kept Jim Boeheim on staff as like an athletic assistant.
Right. Is Washington's head coach, who was with Boeheim for so long, still there?
Let's see.
Are you talking about Danny Sprinkle?
No. Who was their
name.
head coach before that?
I like that name, Danny Sprinkle. Huh.
They had a head coach. So I guess he must have left or got fired. I don't know why I'm blanking on it, but
let's see.
The head coach for a long time at Washington was an assistant under Boeheim. And This is great radio.
I
Let's
mean,
just
it's
continue to
all right.
Google.
Mike Hopkins.
Mike Hopkins. Yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah. So I was wondering maybe if he would be in the conversation there at Syracuse. Like Georgia Tech, maybe.
Yeah.
Man, they've fallen off a cliff since Pastner won the ACC. Bobby Hurley gone at Arizona State. That could be.
I wouldn't mind an Arizona State spot for a guy like Nolan Smith.
So there are going to be openings, maybe not elite openings, but there could be openings there if he ends up going on a run. But obviously, easier said than done. Iowa State, a very good team that they'll face in the first round, and that game is coming up on Thursday.
I believe so.
Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
So
Rexrodism.
Friday, we will get Iowa State and Tennessee State. When does that game fit in with like the Tennessee game? Is it going to be watchable?
Here. Iowa State, Tennessee State tips off at
150.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
Doesn't Tennessee play at like
325? So yeah, you might have a little overlap there. Iowa State only 24.5 point favorites. And like, I know that sounds like a big number, but I think in the 116, 215, usually those are like 30 plus. So
yeah,
I'm hoping Tennessee State can keep it close.
Look, from what I've heard from other shows out here on this station, along with stuff I've listened to outside the station, Nolan Smith, the fact that he only has met his team like back in August and a quick turnaround, to me, it only gives me more confidence to pick a TSU to win over Iowa State. Because again, Iowa State's been more established. I get all that. But when you can kind of catch that lightning in a bottle, and you know what you can do with this team, if the 3-pointers are flying, let them fly, man. I mean, they are a team they're just fun to watch. I mean, that's what basketball March Madness is all about, is to watch all the upsets.
Yeah, with Tennessee State, the context around the situation makes it just so much more impressive what Nolan Smith has done. This team has not been to the NCAA tournament since 1994. Nolan Smith comes in August, 2.5 months before the season starts, and takes them to the NCAA tournament in his first year. So even if they lose by 30 to Iowa State, unreal season from Nolan Smith and Tennessee State. But we'll be rooting for the Tigers on Friday afternoon as they look to advance in the NCAA tournament. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will take any more Cinderellas that you have. Again, I think overall the bracket's going to be pretty chalk, but I think you'll get some upsets on Thursday and Friday. I think so. You'll get a couple of big seed upsets on Thursday or Friday. I just don't know if they're going to be capable of making a run beyond the first weekend. But going to be fun. Love March Madness. We'll get back into the bracket later on in the show. But coming up next, it's almost draft time. We are a little over a month away from draft night in Pittsburgh. So let's get our mock draft 1.0 out there. As a group, we are going to put together the first round of the NFL draft. What do the Titans do? What happens later on in the draft? We'll get into all of it in the next hour coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour on your Tuesday morning. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. The draft is almost here. Free agency, at least for the most part, in the books. There's still some players out there. But we have a good idea of what the draft is going to look like at this point, and it's time for Next Man Up Mock Draft 1.0. We're going to go through the first round and see where things end up. Who do the Titans take it for? Who ends up left on the board at the end, who the Titans could end up taking at 35? We're going to go all 32 picks. We're going to randomize the order here. I already did it. Parker's going to pick first. Nick is second. I am third. So that means Parker is going to get the easy pick at the top, Fernando Mendoza. He's also going to get the Titans pick. So we will see. I have this pulled up. I've got the simulator, so we're going to be able to keep track of this. We'll put this out on social media and get people's thoughts. So if you have any thoughts as well, you can text or call 615-737-1025, our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. All right, let's kick this off. All right, the Las Vegas Raiders are now on the clock with the first overall pick. Parker, the floor is yours.
Man, you just gave me the easiest one. You just threw me an oop, Jake.
Yep.
The draft starts at 2. We all know that.
Yep.
The Raiders are going to go Fernando Mendoza
all right.
at 1.
Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana, off the board at number 1. Nick Frazier, who are you taking it to?
Oh boy. At 2, I think we'll go with Ruben Bain.
Wow.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the Jets are 3. Excuse me.
Jets are 2.
2. Okay, yeah. Ruben Bain. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah.
Ruben Bain off the board at number 2.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he's going to go that high, but the Jets, they get a pass rusher, which is what they need. Man, this is tough for the Cardinals because they need a lot. They do need pass rush help. They could probably use offensive line help too. I think the best player on the board with the third pick, the Arizona Cardinals select David Bailey, edge, Texas Tech.
Wow.
So Fernando Mendoza, Ruben Bain, David Bailey off the board 1, 2, 3, which leaves Parker Kelly on the clock with the Tennessee Titans at 4.
With the 4th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Jeremiah Love.
I thought that was where it was going.
Notre Dame.
All right. Jeremiah Love is the Titans pick at 4. I did see yesterday that is where the betting odds are leaning now.
Really?
Not that that's everything, because if you remember back to that 2023 draft with CJ Stroud, all the betting odds shifted like 3 hours before the draft that the Titans were coming up and getting CJ Stroud, and then it didn't happen, and the Texans took him. So, take it with a grain of salt, but that is what Vegas is projecting right now, is that the Titans take Jeremiah Love at 4. Here in Next Man Up's Mock Draft 1.0, Jeremiah Love is the pick. And before we move on, I think in that scenario, it's between Love and Reese. Those are the two guys you're looking at. I didn't know which way Parker was going to go. I kind of thought Love. But Arvell Reese still being on the board at number 5 is very interesting.
Hey, there's an opportunity for somebody to grab them.
All right. You're on the clock with the New York Giants.
Oh, boy. New York Giants.
They just took Abdul Carter last year.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one because I mean, boy, there's a lot to choose from here. I know this is not great radio, but as I look through all these prospects, I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Carnell Tate.
Carnell Tate goes number 5. They pair Carnell Tate with Malik Neighbors, an Ohio State wide receiver and LSU wide receiver. Usually can't go wrong there.
I know, right?
All right. So top 5 are off the board. Fernando Mendoza, 1 to the Raiders. Ruben Bain, 2nd to the New York Jets. David Bailey goes 3rd to the Cardinals. Jeremiah Love, 4th to the Titans. Carnell Tate, 5th to the Giants. And the Cleveland Browns step to the podium, I should say.
Yeah, it works.
And they take the best player on the board, who somehow slips to them at 6. Arvell Reese, you are staying in Ohio, you're a Cleveland Brown.
Bless his heart.
I'm sure he's thrilled.
I think the Browns have to be thrilled, right? Like that. I don't know if they necessarily need Arvell Reese. Like you've got Myles Garrett, but like you put him on the other side for Myles Garrett, I think you feel really good about your pass rush there.
Yeah. For the time being, yes. And then that's a successor.
Right. And I think for the Browns, you probably didn't expect Arvell Reese to get to you at 6. So in this scenario, in Next Man Up's Mock Draft 1.0, Arvell Reese is a Cleveland Brown, which brings the Washington Commanders onto the clock. Parker Kelly, who do they take?
DC's team somehow, Jake, and you know if this happens, I'm going to pitch a little bit of a fit here. The Washington Commanders select Caleb Downs,
All
safety,
right.
Ohio State.
That's a good pick.
Wow.
That's a good pick. Caleb Downs might be the best player in this draft.
Yeah.
Like he is in that conversation. And I think for the Commanders, we've had this conversation before about a possible trade up. They're looking for a missing piece. If Jaden Daniels stays healthy, they have talent around him at some of the other spots. They brought in some of the Titans weapons. It was officially announced today they've signed Van Jefferson too. But I think you're missing a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. I like Caleb Downs there for Washington.
I mean, it fits what they need. They, like you just mentioned, they have some holes to fill, and that's one of them for sure.
All right. The New Orleans Saints on the clock at number 8. Nick Frazier, who you got?
The New Orleans Saints select wide receiver out of USC, Mekhi Lemon.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Mekhi Lemon goes 8 to the New Orleans Saints.
Because the Giants messed up the Carnell Tate sweepstakes, the Saints need a wide receiver. Mekhi Lemon's on the board for him.
So the second wide receiver is off the board. Brings us to our top 8. Fernando Mendoza, 1 to the Raiders. Ruben Bain to the Jets at number 2. David Bailey, 3 to the Cardinals. Jeremiah Love is the Titans pick at number 4. Carnell Tate, 5 to the Giants. Arvell Reese, 6 to the Browns. Caleb Downs to the Commanders. And Mekhi Lemon to the Saints. The draft never goes the way you expect it to go. So I'm glad this is a little different from some of the consensus stuff where maybe Bain isn't picked as high as that. And Arvell Reese goes higher. Mekhi Lemon maybe doesn't go as high as 8. Like, I'm glad we're mixing this up a little bit, and it's going to lead to some interesting picks later on in the round. Right now, best players available, according to the Pro Football Network, Sonny Styles, off-ball linebacker from Ohio State, Francis Maui-Noah, the offensive tackle from Miami, Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State. We are doing our Next Man Up mock draft number 1. We are going to go through the next 8 picks on the other side. Who do the Chiefs take to put with Patrick Mahomes? Is it on the offensive side or the defensive side? I'll let you know when we come back. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, Next Man Up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. We are going through our mock draft 1.0, alternating picks here and seeing what we end up with for the first round of the NFL draft. But we do have some breaking news that may change how the rest of this mock draft goes. The Denver Broncos are trading for Dolphins wide receiver Jalen Waddle. Denver is receiving Waddle and the Dolphins' fourth round pick. Miami gets the Broncos' first round pick, 30th overall, along with a third and a fourth. So Miami trades Waddle away, gets a first, moves down in the fourth, and picks up a third. That is a big deal. Denver adding another wide receiver for Bo Nix.
I mean, their slot is now officially solidified. Like you have Cortland Sutton along with Jalen Waddle. This is the 1-2 punch is what Denver wanted. And again, this is I'd say a go for it move.
You've got the defense, right, with Bonito and Surtain and who's the other corner? Rylan Moss on the other side. They've got so much talent on the defensive side of the ball, and we saw it last year. Even with Jarrett Stidham playing quarterback, they nearly went to the Super Bowl. So it's going to that makes the AFC West just a complete gauntlet. Chargers are expected to be better this year. Broncos should be good again this year. Yeah. And you'd expect the Chiefs to bounce back. So, man, big move. Again, breaking news, Jalen Waddle has been traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Denver Broncos. And now we have to adjust our mock draft a little bit. Luckily, we didn't get to the Dolphins pick. So Nick Frazier, who has Miami's pick, will be able to adjust there. And we will adjust for Denver, who is now no longer picking 30th. Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to keep up with Denver and LA in the AFC West, they're going to get somebody who can maybe slow down Jalen Waddle and the wide receivers in that division. After losing two cornerbacks, trading Trent McDuffie, losing Jalen Watson in free agency, they're going to take Mansour Delane, cornerback out of LSU, with the 9th overall pick.
Okay, not too shabby there. All right.
So I guess that does make sense. They did lose both of their corners this year.
Guess who their number one cornerback is right now?
Christian Fulton.
Christian Fulton is the number one cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I feel like that kind of has to be the pick. Again, if you just tuned in, we are going through all 32 first-round picks. So far, some notable picks. Reuben Bain goes 2 to the Jets. Jeremiah Love, 4 to the Titans. Arvell Reese falls to 6 for the Browns. And now Mansour Delane is the pick at number 9. Parker is on the clock with the Bengals at 10.
The Bengals need a lot right here. But I figure they need a lot of help on their defense because that has been the primary issue that's been prohibiting them from getting to the playoffs. Sonny Styles is on the board, and I just have a hard time believing that he's going to fall out of the top 10. So with the 10th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State.
Styles and Reese both staying in the state of Ohio. Sonny Styles to the Bengals. I think that's a great pick. If he falls to 10, I think you run the card in if you're Cincinnati. So Styles goes 10. Rounding out the first 10 picks there, Mendoza, Bain, Bailey, Love, Tate, Reese, Downs, Lemon, Delane, and Styles off the board. The Dolphins just traded away another one of their wide receivers, as Matthew in Nashville just texted. Who is Willis going to throw the ball to now? The Dolphins have no wide receivers. Nick Frazier, are you changing that?
No, I am keeping it with the wide receivers, so we're good. Yeah, no cornerbacks going off the board at all with the wonderful pick for the Miami Dolphins at number 11. The Miami Dolphins select Jordan Tyson.
All right.
Arizona State.
I like it. Jordan Tyson is one of those players that could be a top 5 guy if the injuries weren't a concern. For the Dolphins, I think it's worth the risk at number 11. Mm-hmm. They take him there, and after losing Tyreek Hill, losing Jalen Waddle, losing Nick Westbrook-Akine, they bring in Jordan Tyson at number 11. Let's go to number 12. The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock, and this is an interesting one. Cowboys, they need a lot, but they're pretty set at the skill positions. I'm between a couple of players here for Dallas. I think they would have loved to trade up and go get one of those elite guys like Styles or Downs or Love. I think they could use some help on the offensive line. We still have not had an offensive lineman go in this draft. So I am going to have the Cowboys take the best one on the board. Francis Maui Noah, the tackle from Miami, goes to the Dallas Cowboys.
It's a safe pick. They need the safe picks right now.
I don't know if tackle is their biggest need, but they're definitely not solidified there with Terrence Steele at right tackle. I think Maui Noah, it's a guy who's the best player on the board, and I think that that's a good pick for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys need the little extra offensive line help with Dak. You're reloading a little bit, see what you have with Pickens and Lamb. Why not?
The LA Rams on the clock with just their third first-round pick in the last 10 years. Parker Kelly, who do you have the Rams taking?
So some of their biggest needs are wide receiver and linebacker. Problem is the next best wide receiver on the board is Omar Cooper, who you can get in the second round. And linebacker, you're not taking a linebacker with the 13th overall pick. With that being said, there is still a really good offensive tackle on the board from Utah. With the 13th pick, the LA Rams select Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, Utah.
All right. It is funny how Lomu has he's jumped his teammate Fano. I'd seen little rumblings about that, but I kind of thought that they would end up taking Fano. I think Fano profiles more as a guard, so they end up going with Lomu. All right, the Baltimore Ravens on the clock at number 14 for you, Nick Frazier.
Baltimore Ravens getting rid of John Harbaugh. No Isaiah Likely. Probably don't want to go tight end in the first round. I mean, there are a few names out there you might want to go with. Oh boy, this is a tough one. I'm looking here, trying to look at the draft board. I mean, we could go defensive lineman, but I feel like it's just a little bit of a stretch.
They held on to this pick by not trading for Max Crosby.
Yeah,
and they bring in Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, I think we got to go with another edge rusher. I think we go with Kendrick Folk.
Okay, Kendrick Folk from Auburn.
Yeah,
that's a good pick. And they did say, don't know if Eric DeCosta was being truthful, but they did say that Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby could have played together. You bring in a guy who can play on the other side from Trey Hendrickson. All right, with the 15th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. I think they would have really liked to go with Keldrick Falk there, but don't get the opportunity to. I'm debating a complete shocker here.
Oh, please.
You know what? This happens on draft night a lot. We're going to go complete shocker here.
Make the phone call, Jake.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 15th overall select Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama.
Oh, man. Oh, that says Tampa Bay. What's going on with Baker?
Baker Mayfield really struggled after an unbelievable start to the season. They fell out of playoff contention.
He was going to be my next pick, Jake.
Wow.
What am I going to do now?
That's why they do it. That's why you do it. We've seen this before. The Falcons a couple years ago, they had Kirk Cousins. They had just signed Kirk Cousins to an extension. They end up deciding to take Michael Penix. Baker Mayfield is a free agent after this year. This is the last year on his deal.
Yep.
I think the Buccaneers are looking towards the future. They're sitting there at 15. They see a quarterback. The Jets are picking next. They take Ty Simpson 15th overall.
Man, you're gutting the Jets down to the studs, man. Holy
Jets
cow.
Jets fans are throwing stuff at their TV right now. If this is how
they are not happy. I'm actually getting texts from them as we speak. Just kidding.
Ty Simpson, 15th to the Bucks. Jets are on the clock and they're scrambling up there in East Rutherford.
Man, because they had Ty Simpson ready to go. All right, since the Jets are in scramble mode, let's think what Aaron Glenn likes here and what they need help with, and that's the defense. They didn't have a single interception last year in the 2025 season. There's a corner on the board by the name of Jermon McCoy, and in fact, that's the next pick. The New York Jets select Jermon McCoy.
I like it.
With the 16th overall pick.
Yeah, Jets, you trade away Sauce Gardner last year. Jermon McCoy, as we just talked about with Jordan Tyson, a guy who could have been top 10, maybe closer to top 5 if it weren't for the injuries. Jets take a chance there and take Jermon McCoy. Nick Frazier, you're on the clock with the Lions at 17.
All right. This doesn't apply to the Tennessee Titans for offensive tackles, but the Detroit Lions need an offensive tackle. We're going with Caden Proctor out of Alabama.
Oh, wow. Okay, Caden Proctor goes 17th. I have a feeling this is kind of like you remember the Justin Jefferson thing with the Vikings?
Yeah, Jalen Rager.
With Jalen Rager.
Yeah.
They might be running up there to take Monroe Freeling out
We
of
know
Georgia.
Dan Campbell loves those athletic offensive
Yeah,
tackles.
I'm going to
baby.
go.
Dan Skipper, throw him a touchdown pass. You can throw a screen to Caden Proctor.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yeah. Proctor goes 17 to the Lions. And, the more I think about it, I thought they were going to go Freeling. I'm changing my mind a little bit here. No, I'm going to do it. Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle from Georgia, is going to play right tackle for the Minnesota Vikings on the other side from Christian Darrisaw. So back-to-back tackles here at 17 and 18. You were on the clock at 19 with the Carolina Panthers, Parker Kelly.
The Carolina Panthers need help in the back end of their secondary. Dylan Thieneman, safety from Oregon. This guy is legit.
Yep, that's a good pick. He blew up at the combine, too. The Cowboys are back on the clock at 20. Nick Frazier, you have their pick. I took Francis Maui-Noah for them, the tackle out of Miami at 12. Who do you have him taking here at 20?
Might be a bit of a stretch. I'm going to go with cornerback at LSU, Mansour Delane.
Delane went at 9.
I must have missed that. Sorry, my bad.
Delane went at 9 to the Chiefs.
He got drafted twice.
Golly. It's tough to keep up with. Yeah, have it in front of me.
I wish I could share this with you.
That's okay. You're good.
If you're going cornerback, Avion Terrell from Clemson is still out there. AJ Terrell.
Spencer Fano.
Yeah. They just took a tackle.
That's right.
Man, that is tough. Let's see here. Oh boy. This is great radio. Sorry, folks. Trying to really
you got thrown off because you thought you had Delane slipping all the way to 20.
This is trench warfare here because we have the Bucks taking Ty Simpson at 15. It's thrown everything off.
Yep.
You said Avion Terrell is available.
Avion Terrell is available.
I will go with the best on the board.
All right. Cowboys take a cornerback. Probably much needed. The Trayvon Diggs tenure is over. He has moved on. And Avion Terrell comes in from Clemson. We are through 20 picks on our first mock draft. We got a little crazy there. Ty Simpson going 15th to the Bucks. Little off the wall, but it happens. It does. These teams, they love a quarterback. And for the Bucks, you may look and say, hey, we think we're going to be competitive next year. We're not going to have a chance to be in the top 5 where a bunch of teams are going to need a quarterback in 2027. Simpson falls to 15. I don't hate it. But
honest question before we go to the break. Quick. What message does that send to Tampa Bay fans? Does that mean Todd Bowles is out along with Baker after this year and they just start fresh?
Maybe. But I think the message is, hey, we're not okay with mediocrity. And we're going to try and get somebody in here who can learn under Baker Mayfield and be our franchise quarterback. I don't see Baker Mayfield getting another contract in Tampa after this year, unless he just blows up this season. I think they need to look for a succession plan. And with Ty Simpson on the board at 15, they find it. The Steelers may have been looking for a quarterback at 21. Not going to be able to find one. I don't think they're taking Drew Aller at 21st overall. Who will the Steelers take? We will let you know next and wrap up our first mock draft here on Next Man Up. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, Nick Frazier with you here on 102.5 The Game. Today, Vanderbilt baseball hosts Indiana at Hawkins Field. First pitch is at 2 p.m. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan. Coverage is presented by Gary Force Acura. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly alongside you on your Tuesday morning. We are going through the first round of the NFL draft, making our first mock draft as a group here. A couple of notable picks so far if you're just joining us. Jets going with Ruben Bain at number 2 overall. Jeremiah Love is the Titans pick at number 4, with David Bailey going 3 to the Cardinals. Arvell Reese falls to 6 to the Browns. Sonny Styles 10 to the Bengals. Ty Simpson goes 15 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shocking Jets fan, shocking the Jets front office. And we are now at number 21, where I have the pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matthew in Nashville helping us out a little bit here, saying that they need a cornerback, a safety, a left tackle, and a guard. He says if Colton Hood is there, he's taking him. I'm not going to go with Colton Hood. I think Spencer Fano has fallen down the board a little bit. He could be a tackle. He could be a guard. Either way, I think he helps the Steelers' offensive line. Spencer Fano is the pick for the Steelers at number 21.
Pretty good. I like that pick. It helps them rebuild that interior.
Chargers are on the clock at number 22, Parker Kelly.
So there's a guy that I'm tempted to take, but the Chargers already have an up and coming tight end in Aronde Gadsden.
Yep.
Mm.
They need help on the edge. They need help in their interior offensive line. A guy, ironically, who's the number 22 prospect on the board, and the Chargers have the 22nd overall pick. Ola Ioane, guard, Penn State.
I almost went with him for the Steelers, too, just keeping the Pennsylvania guys close.
Yeah.
But that's a good pick. As we know, Jim Harbaugh loves the offensive line, and he adds another piece there. At number 23, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock, Nick Frazier.
Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles are going with center out of Florida, Jake Slaughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going way down the board.
Yeah. He's 11th overall at his position, so just thought that might be.
Yeah, I mean, he's the
little
top
bit stretch.
center. Let me see if I can
that is.
find him. There he is. Jake Slaughter goes 23 to the Philadelphia Eagles.
And the logic behind that pick, just for a brief second, is because they're probably not going to have A.J. Brown by the start of the season. You only got Devontae Smith. You re-signed Dallas Goedert to another deal. You're keeping that interior core there. You're going to keep the tush push alive and well.
Yeah, and they need a center. I don't know if he's a first-round guy, but if the Eagles look and they say that that's the guy that solidifies their offensive line, then go ahead and do it. We got a run on offensive linemen here, 3 in a row. For the Cleveland Browns, I thought about going with Kenyon Sadiq here because David Njoku's leaving, but Harold Fannin also had a really solid rookie year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to avoid that. I am actually going to go wide receiver here for the Cleveland Browns. I believe the Browns are going to take Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington.
It's a good pickup.
So Browns add a pass rusher in Arvell Reese. They add a pass catcher in Denzel Boston from Washington at 24. The Chicago Bears are on the clock, Parker Kelly.
Guys, I'm shook right now. We have Jake Slaughter going in the first round. We have Ty Simpson going at 15 to the Bucks. I don't even know what to do, honestly.
Draft
We're
chaos.
all over the place here.
I like that I'm picking for the Bears right here because they need some defensive line help. Akeem Mesidor, edge,
Okay.
Miami.
That's a good pick. They were in on the conversation for Max Crosby. Obviously did not end up trading for him. Akeem Mesidor, the age is a question. I don't think it will affect his production.
Right.
It'll affect the longevity of his career for sure. He's an older player, but I think that's a good pick for the Bears, who I think are starting to get into a win now kind of mode. Speaking of win now, the Buffalo Bills trying to finally get to a Super Bowl. What do they add for Josh Allen and company?
They need more offensive firepower. And with this pick, the Buffalo Bills select out of Texas A&M wide receiver KC Concepcion.
I like that. Josh Allen has been really good with a solid slot receiver. We saw Cole Beasley was huge for him back 5 years ago or so. So KC Concepcion is the pick for the Bills, rounding out a solid receiving core there with DJ Moore in the fold. KC. Yeah. All right, the 49ers are on the clock. 49ers, This is an interesting one because they are one of those teams that's in win now mode. They've got a lot of aging guys. Do you build for now or do you build for the future in this? Like, do you go try and get something that you're missing right now that can help you win a Super Bowl? Or do you kind of look behind the guys you have already? I'm going to get them. They just signed Mike Evans. Man, this is tough because I kind of want to go tight end here with Kittle getting older, getting up there.
They have Jake Tongas. Remember that guy.
That's true. They did bring back Tongas. All right. We are going to go. Man, we're going to go with a tackle here. We're going to have a succession plan for Trent Williams, whether he's there this year or if he's gone. Blake Miller, offensive tackle, Clemson, going to the San Francisco 49ers.
Nice.
All right, we got 5 picks left. Parker, you are on the clock with the Houston Texans.
This guy is still on the board, and to just bolster a Texans defense that might have been one of the best in the league last year, Peter Woods, defensive tackle, Clemson, goes to the Houston Texans at pick 28.
Love it. They just lost Tim Settle in the offseason to the Commanders. Peter Woods, first-round pick out of Clemson, goes 28th. The Kansas City Chiefs, back on the clock. Already got Mansour Delane at 9. At number 29, who do they got? Nick Frazier.
It's a tough call because you already kind of checked off the box at your wide receiver room there. You could either go edge rusher or you could go for another wide receiver. Kansas City Chiefs are definitely in a bit of a quandary here. And as I say that from firsthand, yeah, I'm all up in shambles. But I'm going to go with it. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go Omar Cooper Jr.
All right. They add another weapon.
More of a second-round guy, but later in the first round.
He's borderline first round. And so you get a cornerback at 9. You get a wide receiver at 29 to help out Patrick Mahomes. I like it. All right.
Could have went edge there, but more firepower.
Yeah. And the Broncos are no longer on the clock at 30. The Miami Dolphins are. We just learned a few minutes ago that they have made a trade, bringing in Jalen Waddle to Denver, meaning the Dolphins pick 30th. And with the 30th pick, I think that you just go best player available here. I think you just got to go with a guy who you think like need really doesn't matter all that much. I think you got to find guys that are good players. So I am going to go with Colton Hood, cornerback, Tennessee. I think he's a first-round pick. All right, 2 picks to go. New England Patriots, Parker Kelly.
This guy should have been picked a long time ago. And it's kind of one of those things where you made the Super Bowl, you need some pass catchers.
Yeah.
This guy is a freak. I've seen him in person. He's hurdling defensive backs at 250 pounds. He can bench press a semi, and he can squat 2 semis. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon.
Every time I came on the clock for the last 4 rounds, I've wanted to take him, but just have not quite gotten there. The Patriots have him fall into their lap at 31, which brings us to the final pick of our mock draft at 32, the Seattle Seahawks, Nick Frazier.
Seattle Seahawks, man, losing Kenneth Walker, you're probably thinking, you need to replace him with another running back. And that's where they're going to go. They're going to go with Jeremiah Love's B, and that's Jadarian Price.
Okay, so you're going 2 Notre Dame running backs in the first round. Yeah. I like it. All right, Jadarian Price. I will say Nick Frazier has made me look down the board further.
I know. Again,
there we go.
I'm not given the best of the availabilities, but it's more of the needs at certain positions.
I'm shook. I'm just shook back here.
Aren't we all?
Hey, I will say, in Nick Frazier's defense, there's always surprises on draft night that no one saw coming.
Thank you.
There would be more than a couple here. Jake Slaughter going 23rd to the Eagles, I think probably the biggest one. But there is our first mock draft. We'll do this again probably week before the draft, and we will go through and see how much things change. But our first mock draft is in the books. I'll put this up there on social media. Jeremiah Love is the pick for the Titans at 4, with David Bailey off the board at 3. Couple of other surprising notes from our mock draft. Arvell Reese goes 6 to the Browns. Sonny Styles 10 to the Bengals. Ty Simpson, the Bucks, get a succession plan for Baker Mayfield. Take him 15th. Jake Slaughter, 23rd overall, the center from Florida. And then at the end of the round, Jadarian Price, the running back from Notre Dame. 2 Irish running backs go in the first round. 615-737-1025. We will take your reaction. We will also react more to the Jalen Waddle move, talk some Titans on the other side. Wrapping up hour number 2, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025, The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Finishing up the second hour on this Tuesday morning. We just went through our first round mock draft. Nick and I have both put that out there on Twitter. So if you want to go check it out, you can. We went through all 32 picks. There were some surprises in there for sure. We rotated picks. This was not all done together. So we won't disclose if you missed it. We won't disclose who picked who. There are a few in there that might be stunners.
Hey, if you want to know who picked it, you just put down in the comments. I'll give you the picks that I put out there. All right, I'm not afraid of it.
Nick Frazier's going to stand behind his picks.
Man of my word.
While we were doing that, though, there was some breaking news. The Denver Broncos have made a trade, bringing in Jalen Waddle, a first and a third heading back the other way, and then the two teams swapped fourth-round picks. So Jalen Waddle goes to Denver. Have you seen the Dolphins' updated wide receiver room?
No.
So this was tweeted out by Adam Schefter. Here are the receivers currently on the Miami Dolphins roster. Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, Terrace Marshall Jr., Malik Washington, Taj Washington, Theo Weiss Jr., and A.J. Henning.
Oh, boy. They got to go after a wide receiver.
Well, you picked Jordan Tyson
Yeah.
for us in the mock draft, so that at least would add somebody. I would guess now they have 11 and 30. I think you have to take a wide receiver with one of those picks. You just brought Malik Willis in here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to say, hey, Malik, here is your assortment of wide receivers to throw to? They're led by Malik Washington and Tutu Atwell. I think you have to go get at least somebody who can help you out in the receiving game.
You have to. And like you can go to free agency like right before the draft if you want, just see who's out there. I mean, you have Deebo Samuel. I don't know if you want to go grab a 30-year-old wide receiver that, is not really a deep threat. You wonder if Nick Westbrook-Ikine would talk to him, maybe come back. I don't know.
They just cut him. It's like I feel like if they wanted him to stick around, they would have. It's not like he was all that expensive.
Right. That's fair. I don't know. This is a difficult situation for the Miami Dolphins. Again, they've brought it all the way down to the studs. You wonder where they're going at this point. Like, I mean, yeah, you definitely have to go draft a wide receiver. And I don't know. I'm at a loss of words for Miami right now. I mean, good for Denver because it shows that Sean Payton is there for the long haul a little bit. You know how he was with the Saints. He kind of signed Taysom Hill to this awful deal that they're still dealing with the repercussions of. And now you're in Denver and you're saying, you know what, we can do this thing. They have their 1-2 punch out wide.
The Dolphins are clearly tanking.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could say the same for the Jets. I think you could probably say the same for the Cardinals and the Browns. All four of those teams, like Malik Willis is probably the best quarterback among those four teams right now, which is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, who are you tanking for? Like, is it just that you're hoping that somebody emerges at quarterback this year, or is Arch the guy?
No, I don't think so.
Like, is that the guy that they think is going to go number one overall?
I think everybody thinks that, yeah.
There's a couple of guys that I look at and say, yeah, maybe, but there's no Caleb Williams in this, or Trevor Lawrence, where it's like, man, we've been waiting for this guy to get draft eligible, and now he finally is, and we're gonna have a bad year, but we're gonna put ourselves in a position to go get this guy. And I don't see that guy unless it's Arch.
Again, like you've mentioned this multiple times in years past and also months past, like if his name was Arch Smith, would he still be up at the top part of the draft or just being a top prospect? Probably not. And then you look at it from the other perspective of, well, Arch Manning is the reason why I would, in my opinion, this is me speaking. I think Arch Manning is the reason why we have reset our evaluations on quarterbacks going forward into next year's draft, because everybody wants him to be the best of the best of quarterbacks when he's probably not there.
Yeah.
Even his grandfather said he's going to return to Texas and still continue to develop. And I don't know if he's quite there yet.
I'm looking at Dante Mora is a guy who went back to Oregon, probably going to be up there. Julian Sayin will be draft eligible after next year, so maybe that's a guy teams are looking at. And then Lenore Sellers was not the guy that everyone expected him to be last year at South Carolina. Maybe he revives his draft stock. But again, looking at those names, I view it pretty much the same way as we viewed this last year's draft of like, yeah, there's a lot of guys who could separate themselves and become the number one pick. Who's going to, though? Will somebody? And right now, the Jets, Browns, Cardinals, and Dolphins are basically all saying, we are going to be horrible and just hope that there's a quarterback there for us next year.
Yeah, and you can forget the guy at Ole Miss as well. Got the 6th year.
Oh, Trinidad?
Yeah, Trinidad Chambliss. I'm not sure what his value will be in the NFL next season if that is the case.
Yeah.
But that's somebody else you got to put into factor. So
and you could be right. Like Trinidad Chambliss could blow up and end up having a huge year and go in the top 5. I just wonder if he would have fought so hard to go back to college if teams liked him that much. And
That's
things
fair.
can change, right? Like Cam Ward is an example of this, where he was told by his agent was told, hey, you're probably a 3rd round pick if you come out in 2024. He went back to school. He had a great year. He was a Heisman finalist, and he goes number 1 overall. So maybe that's what it is. They told Trinidad, hey, you're a 3rd or a 4th round pick right now. If you go back and have a great year, maybe you elevate that. But I don't know. Like, he's pretty old, isn't he? Like 23, 24. Like I do wonder if like teams are like, hey, you're small, you're aging. Like that's not what we want to take 1st overall.
The thing it was so not confusing to me, but just polarizing is that looking at ESPN's rankings before he got his reinstatement for that extra year of eligibility, he was the 3rd best ranked quarterback for this upcoming year's draft.
Yeah.
According to ESPN's, power rankings. But again, this year's draft is not the strongest for quarterbacks.
Well, right. And Dante Moore would have gone 2nd overall in this year's draft. So maybe that's the guy that teams think is going to be special and going to be a number 1 overall pick caliber player. 7829 says Sellers got hurt pretty early last year. I think he'll be fantastic next season. And I would say out of that group, if there's somebody that you bet on just based on traits and you say he's big, he's fast, he's got an arm, and we've seen it. 2 years ago, he was really good. Sellers, I could see a team betting on. And last year, when we got halfway through the season, ESPN did their, if you were picking a quarterback 1st overall, who would it be? Midway through the year, it was Lenoris Sellers, or maybe a 3rd of the way through the year before Fernando Mendoza kind of blew up. So maybe it is Lenoris Sellers, but those 4 teams, it's very obvious that they have no interest in competing next year when the starting quarterback for those 4 teams, as it stands right now, are Malik Willis. Is it Jacoby Brissett in Arizona?
Yep. Or Jimmy G when that does come to fruition.
Well, they got Gardner Minshew there too, don't they? Like,
oh, that's right. I don't know what's going on in Arizona.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, no matter whoever it is, it's not good. Geno Smith in New York and Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. Those teams are pretty clearly not interested in winning this year. So we'll see. These quarterbacks are going to have to show that they're worthy of being those picks, or maybe you see a situation like a couple of years ago where teams reach on Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix. One of those has worked out. The other one, obviously not.
I think for the Jets' purpose, because you mentioned Geno Smith, it's crazy how the Raiders got a 7th round pick for.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They were ready to cut him.
Yeah, it's crazy that they still got that. If I were the Jets, you get rid of Garrett Wilson immediately. Like, you got to trade him off and get some capital for him and really reset.
And we just saw Waddle get traded. Maybe Wilson is next on the block.
What if Kansas City's that partner?
There's been rumors, and I know it's from the dog again, Ricky, who we talk about a lot. I don't know if I believe the dog, but the dog says the Jets are interested in trading for Will Levis. Ricky Scoops on Twitter.
Huh.
So maybe that's the pairing that they're going with is Geno Smith and Will Levis.
No Ty Simpson. Interesting.
Well, he's going 15th to the Bucks.
Right? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, my bad. I totally forgot about that. Whoops. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Will Levis. I always thought he was more of a West Coast guy.
Maybe he is. Maybe he ends up Rams, 49ers, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think maybe the Mac Jones domino has to fall before the Will Levis one does.
And everybody thinks he's a starting quarterback in this league somehow.
Yeah. I don't know where, but somewhere.
It's crazy.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call our phone lines. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caleb on the YouTube chat asked, where did y'all have McCoy going? Jermod McCoy went 16th to the New York Jets in our first mock draft. And that is out there in the Twitterverse if you want to check it out. Parker says, I am shook about our mock draft. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. When we come back, the third hour going to be kind of a mashup of everything. We'll talk some Preds. Big game tonight for the Preds up there in Winnipeg. We'll talk NSC. Big game tomorrow in Miami for the second leg of that CONCACAF Champions Cup match. And also a little bit more Titans before we wrap up the show. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour on this Tuesday. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We've had fun today. Picked our Cinderellas for the NCAA tournament. We will actually keep score of that, which is something we don't usually do on this program.
Yep.
And we just went through our first mock draft, all 32 first-round picks, and had some surprises in there. So go back and listen if you missed it. But let's get into the Predators. Big game tonight. Parker and I said it yesterday. I think this is make or break the next 3 days for the Predators. And it's felt like that for a while, and the Preds have done just enough to not completely fall out of the playoff race. But right now, you're 4 points back. You're 3 points back of the next team closest to you, with the Kings and the Sharks also chasing the Kraken. And you got Winnipeg chasing you. Guess what? Winnipeg tonight on the road. These next two, I think, are must. I think you got to get 3 out of 4 points over these next two. You cannot lose either of these games in regulation, or else your playoff chances are probably out the window. With 16 games to go as it stands right now, you're running out of time. You're playing teams that you're directly competing with. I think tonight and Thursday against Seattle, you got to get at least 3 points.
Yeah, this is, again, I'm going to die on this hill, even though people think I'm, crazy with saying this. I do think this is a playoff team, even though they're not playing to the caliber that they are right now. Overall, I mean, look, if Barry Trotz made those moves at the deadline because you didn't want to move off of Eric Halla, didn't want to move off of Ryan O'Reilly, you're obviously going for it. Yes, I agree, Jake. These are key games where they need points. That overtime shootout loss to Vancouver to really start off this road trip did hurt them a little bit, because if you got 2 points there, you still would be in somewhat of some contesting points range here. You still are 4 points out. But again, you come down to, like you said, the Kraken. You come down to Winnipeg tonight. These are key games because all these teams are pretty close in points, and comes off head-to-heads going up into the wild card race.
Right. The Predators play Winnipeg tonight. They still have 3 games against San Jose, 2 against LA, and then play Seattle on Thursday. So they're not out of it, but it's a big hill to climb at this point. With 16 games to go, you're 3 points back of San Jose, 4 points back of Seattle and LA. You've got to win. You got 16 games left. I would guess you probably need to win at least 11 or 12 of those to have any chance.
Yeah.
Because that would get you, let's say you win 11 and you get a couple of overtime losses. That would get you to about 91, 92 points. That still may not be enough. It'll be close, but there's really only one spot left up for grabs. Edmonton's up to 75 points. I don't see the Preds making up 8 points on Edmonton if they fell back into the wild card. Utah's at 76. Maybe not guaranteed to be the top wild card, but they've got a 5-point cushion over Seattle, although Seattle does have 2 games in hand there. I think you feel pretty good about the Mammoth being in. So it's really 5 teams for 1 spot, and the Predators are definitely not in the driver's seat in this race right now.
Yeah, I'd say the big question, or I'd say the big magnifying glass you got to look into would be the Los Angeles Kings, because guess who they play twice in the next couple weeks? The Utah Mammoth. Because the Utah Mammoth have that top wild card spot. I'm not saying they're going to rest players, but I'm saying the emphasis for points for them are not as big of a factor, because then you have the Kings that are right behind them, and if they can somehow sneak into that second wild card spot, guess what? That kind of, I wouldn't say screws the Preds, but definitely takes their chances a lot lower than they were right now.
Yeah, and it's just, as much as I want to see the Predators get into the playoffs, playoff hockey is so much fun around here, even if it is Colorado and you lose in 5 games. It's still fun to have playoff hockey back. I'm starting to lose faith that they're going to be able to do it. You don't have to just pass one team. You got to pass 3 teams and hold off Winnipeg. Now, if you win tonight, you're up to 69 points, and then you've got Seattle on Thursday. If you could win each of these next 2, I think you're in a spot where you're right there competing the rest of the way. If you lose either of them, I think and that's kind of where I stand. I think they're going to win one, they're going to lose one, and we're going to be talking about the same thing next week of, well, if they're able to win 3 straight games, maybe they've got a chance to get back into it. That's kind of where they are right now. If they don't go on a run over the next week or two, I think it's pretty much over.
Yeah, this week especially, like looking at the whole month of March. Wow, I just may have had a mini stroke there. The
Arch.
whole month of March, thinking of Arch Madness.
Arch Madness, yeah.
Oops, sorry about that. You look at Seattle, yeah, you got to win that one on Thursday. The games I'm kind of intrigued about would be the New Jersey game at the end of March and Montreal. Montreal is a playoff team, obviously, but if you can win against teams like New Jersey and Chicago that are not really fighting for a true spot, you got to take advantage of those games because that shows if you're a true playoff team. And if you can't win, I'm not saying win in convincing fashion like 5-1 or 6-2 or something like that, but at least put 3 or 4 goals on the score sheet. And if you can do that, then I think they'll be okay. Again, I still think this team's a playoff team. It's just a matter of showing it in the points column. A lot of people that do cover this team probably don't think so. And again, that's probably just me giving a biased perspective of being a Nashvilleian. But again, you're right, Jake. This is a team and a city that is just hungry for playoff hockey. And even if they do draw Colorado and they end up somehow making it in that second wild card spot, I like the Preds' chances because they've played Colorado well this past season.
They're 3-5-2 over their last 10. Over the next week, from now until next Tuesday, they play 5 games. 3 of them are against teams you're directly competing with. I really think a week from right now, us sitting in these chairs, we're going to know one way or the other of, is this team a legit contender? And are we going to be paying attention to these games all the way down until April 16th? Or is this team going to be rooting for lottery balls? And I'm leaning towards the latter.
April is a tough month for this team because every single one of those teams in April are either in a playoff spot or 1 point or 2 points out of a playoff spot. That's the tough thing to look at it because Anaheim's a good ball club or a good hockey team. Sorry, baseball.
A puck club.
A puck club. There you go. Utah in commanding lead. Minnesota, really good team. It's just the San Jose and the Los Angeles Kings are the 2 teams you really have to worry about. And if you can win head-to-head in those games, to me, I think you're in good shape.
Yeah, you're right. The head-to-head games are what's kind of saving this team is you still have opportunities against the teams you're chasing. And in those 4-point games, you can make up ground in a hurry. But you got to be able to actually take advantage of them. And you've got Winnipeg, Seattle. You've got 3 against San Jose. You've got 2 against LA. You got 1 against Utah. Like out of those 8 games, you probably need to win 6 to have a chance because you don't have to just catch one of them. You have to catch all of them to get up to the top. So 5 out of the next 6 after tonight are at home. Then another long road trip, 6 straight away to start off April. And then they'll finish with 3 in a row at home in the middle of the month of April. So finishing up a long road trip, they'll come home for a couple of weeks and then head right back out for another long road trip. Going to be a tough hill to climb for this team if they're going to make it into the playoffs. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. It is cold here. We were just talking about this, and it felt like 14 this morning. Could be worse. We could be in Winnipeg with Willie and Max and all those guys. It is 8 degrees. The low is -8, and it's snowing all day up there. So, I know we're upset that false spring came and we're back into the cold temperatures, but it could be worse.
Don't miss it.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Another big game coming up, Nashville SC. Tomorrow night, they play Miami, trying to advance to the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We will get Dr. Crane's thoughts on it, our resident NSC expert. We will see what he thinks about what is a scoreless game heading into the second leg of the aggregate there down in Miami. Excited for that. It's coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media are teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? Or do you need a fix to get you ready for summer? You can nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Locally owned and operated, there's never a wrong time to call Right Time. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Preds with a big game tonight up there in Winnipeg, then returning home on Thursday to take on Seattle late in the season, making a playoff push, but definitely still on the outside looking in. But a big game for Nashville SC tomorrow night. I watched a good amount of last Wednesday's game. That was here at Geodis Park, the first leg of this two-leg aggregate match against Miami. Scoreless. Kind of crazy that game ended scoreless. There were a lot of good chances, but neither team could find the back of the net. So it's straight up tomorrow night in Miami. Winner take all moves on to the quarterfinals.
And the beautiful thing about this is kind of old school soccer, but the fact that CONCACAF still does the away goals count more aggregate, which is fantastic for this situation. So say if Nashville were to tie 1-1, they move on to the next round because away goals count more.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that. So yeah, that is a big development. So it's win or draw, Nashville moves on to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, so if they end in a 0-0 draw, they go to extra time and then a shootout and all that fun stuff. I don't know if they've changed that format to where it goes directly to a shootout, kind of like Leagues Cup. I have to double check on that one. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup one because this past weekend, Nashville took on the Columbus Crew that have been, a really good club in the last couple seasons. They went under new head coach last season, interim head coach took over this year. Won 1-0, but again, Nashville is kind of fielding a squad that was more of your secondary players, just to keep your guys with some healthy legs going into the second leg in Fort Lauderdale tomorrow night. But they did sub on Sam Sturridge and Hani Mukhtar at halftime, along with Christian Espinoza. Majority of the substitutions were on that right flank. Andy Nahar came in for Josh Bauer. So that's just kind of how their offense runs. It runs through that right side of the field, and Christian Espinoza with an absolute just phenomenal assist. He cuts in, cuts back out right, passes it to the middle of the box, and Hani Mukhtar is there to finish it off. So that was in the 94th minute with injury time there. So this team is still really good. I did like that they played some of the starters in the second half, and with doing that, it kind of gives them a little bit of some fresh ideas and what they can do with Inter Miami. This past, match in the first leg, the thing I honed in on looking at, the recap and just asking questions about it was the way Nashville closed down the space at the top of the 18. In years past, and you look at games past, and I think it was Javier Mascherano that mentioned this team is Nashville and Inter Miami have played each other the last 6 of 7 times in the last 3 months. But looking at the way Nashville closed down space with Patrick Yazbek, Jason Palacios, Maxwell Belizzi, just those guys in particular cut down so much at the top of the 18 where Messi, that's his bread and butter. He likes to, catch a pass from, let's say, the right or left flank, and it's his spot where he can make a feint move left, and then he tries to tuck it in the back of the net. He didn't have that many opportunities. I think he had 1 or 2, and they skied over the crossbar. So as for Nashville with their attack, this is something that they can really flourish in, because not only do they have Andy Nahar on the right side, you now have Reed Baker Whiting, who's made a pretty good cameo in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in the last couple matches against Ottawa. He made his second start for the club against Inter Miami. I'm wondering what they'll do with Daniel Lovitz. I think this is more of I'd say more CONCACAF-oriented team for a guy like Reed Baker Whiting, because it allows, I'd say, it to be more balanced the way they play. Andy Nahar is an attacking fullback. So is Reed Baker Whiting.
Yeah.
He can play in that, holding midfielder role as well. He's a flexible player. And that's something that I've mentioned before, is the versatility of this lineup. And even BJ mentioned it in the last press conference. I believe it was in Columbus. It was the one online that he mentioned that there is a lot of depth on this team, that they are continuously growing. And again, that's something you want to see with the young team, is you want to see growth. And Nashville has that. And with Sam Sturridge at the top, there's the number 9. We're seeing a lot more off the ball movement with this team. Sam Sturridge does a really good job holding up play and also getting behind the line. With a guy like Warren Madrigal, who they brought in this past offseason, he's now playing as a traditional left attacking mid fielder that's more in that attacking winger role. We've seen him overlap some runs with Sam Surridge. There were times in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup with Inter Miami that there was, again, something I recognized was that the off-the-ball movement of a guy like Warren Madrigal to overlap Sam Surridge and allow the ball to just roll through was just pure genius because it baited Inter Miami's back line to say, hey, we're going to press higher up. Let's go focus more on Ahani and Sam. Warren Madrigal is over there by himself. So I just think Nashville has to finish opportunities on net. And when they can do that, I think this is their best opportunity to beat Inter Miami this year.
Yeah, they had a couple of good chances last Wednesday at Geodis Park, but it just could not get one to go home. But you're right that you've now got the opportunity in Miami that you're not at a disadvantage in any way because of the scoreless draw last week at Geodis Park. So you're right. This is a good opportunity. These teams have met a ton. And I know Nashville has beaten Miami before, but in the big moments, Miami has been able to get the win. The Leagues Cup a few years ago, last year in the playoffs, they were able to win that best of 3 series. So this would be really cool for Nashville to go down there to South Florida, get a win, and move on for a chance at the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
The big emphasis I would put on tomorrow night's match would be Jason Palacios. We've seen Maxwell Belizzi play the last 3 matches. He has been spectacular. To me, I think he won man of the match for one of those matches. But for me, I think he'd win it in all 3. The way he's able to close down space, and he's taken that more assertive role as a center back. Whereas for Jason Palacios, he does the same thing. To me, I think both those guys archetypes on the pitch together as the tandem center backs are perfect together. They brought in Jack Mayer to give Jason a little bit of some rest, from my opinion. And I think Jack is doing a really good job at fulfilling those roles when needed. And now that you've given Jason a full 90 minutes off, it's time for him to just unlock the chains and go, man. Like, let this thing go on. Another Joe Rexroad there. Sorry, I got excited. Let this thing go, man. I like the way Belizzi kind of plays out of the back. He came from a 3 at the back defense, and it was taking a lot of that left flank. He's doing it now as a center back, which I find interesting and cool because Nashville is able to take their number 6 midfielder, if it's a Matthew Corcoran or a Patrick Yazbak or Eddie Taxeth, whoever's going to play in that role, they drop him back into that center back position.
Yeah.
So as he's attacking, they drop a midfielder back, and so you keep that consistent 4 at the back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I like the rotation this team plays with. It's very unorthodox. It's very high attack, high press. If Nashville can continue to high press the first 20 minutes of the match and keep Inter Miami uncomfortable, I think that's where you kind of win right off the bat.
BJ Callahan's done a great job with this team over the last 2 years. I mean, after disappointing season a few years ago to get to the playoffs last year, and now you're in this game with a chance to move on to the quarterfinals. And would they play Philadelphia?
I believe so. I can double check.
I don't have the bracket up in front of me. I just got the scores. But Wednesday, tomorrow night, 6:00, first kick, Nashville and Miami down there in Fort Lauderdale. And that is going to be televised on FS1. So make sure you tune in. I'm excited. Boys in gold looking to finally slay the dragon and beat Messi in Miami.
To give your answer real quick for the Philadelphia, there's Club America and then there is Philadelphia. They're currently down on aggregate 1-0.
Okay.
So that's something to keep a factor into.
Gotcha. And that would continue on next week, I believe, or the week after. So chance for Nashville to go get a trophy early on in the season. And if you get through Miami, feel like you can pretty much get through anybody in this tournament.
Yeah, I've been on record on this station and on the Talking Calcio podcast. For those that like soccer coverage, go on the Game Nashville Sports Network and find Talking Calcio. That's where you can find Dr. Crane, yourself right here, and Claudia Villalobos with Nashville Total Sports. And we just break it all down, the recap and preview for the next game or next match, that is. But I've been on record saying that Nashville will win another championship this year.
I love it.
CONCACAF Champions Cup, if it's the MLS Cup, if it's, let's say, the Community Shield for the best record, I could see that all happening. And even if they win the Leagues Cup, I mean, that's another viable option. Because you look at this Nashville club real briefly before we go to break, not a lot of these players are going to be playing at the World Cup this summer.
Right.
So, again, that gives them time to rest, get fresh legs. And again, they're second in the Eastern Conference right now with 10 points. This is just a good thing to see for Nashville. So I would love to see them win a treble. I think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I said it last season. This year, I think it's more probable than not for them to win at least one. But if they win 3, that'd be beautiful.
I would love to see it. And off to a great start this season. Big game, big match coming up tomorrow night against Miami down there in Florida. Again, tied up on aggregate. So a 1-1 draw, all it would take for Nashville to advance to the quarterfinals. Excited for it tomorrow night, 6 p.m. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, we'll get into the Titans a little bit. We'll also wrap up the show with a little more WBC talk. The first 4 starts tonight. We got lots of stuff to look at in the final half hour of the show. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. From kickoff to last call, Tennessee Brewworks is the official craft beer of the football offseason coverage on ESPN 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. 30 more minutes left in the show, and there are a couple of things that have happened this morning around the NFL. Jalen Waddle traded to the Denver Broncos. First-round pick and a third going back, along with a fourth-round pick swap. So pretty high price for Jalen Waddle. And I've seen people ask the question out there on social media, if that's the price for Waddle, what's the price for A.J. Brown?
Got to be more, right?
I would think so. Like, Waddle's younger, but I think A.J. Brown's the better player.
Yeah, the more complete wide receiver. But again, he's your outside guy. You're not going to get A.J. Brown in the slot. As for Jalen Waddle, he's more of your gadget slot guy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. The AI on Google is horrible.
Oh, boy.
It says A.J. Brown was born June 30th, 1997, making him 26 years old as of March 12th, 2026. Don't think that's how math works. He would be 28 years old at this point in his career. So 28 years old. Waddle's 27, so I guess it's about the same. I think AJ's getting paid a little bit more. I would think you probably at first and a third minimum for AJ Brown, if that's the going rate for Jalen Waddle. The first round pick is lower, it's 30th. So I think a first and a third, as long as it's, top 25, somewhere in there, probably gets it done for AJ Brown if he gets traded. Which the Eagles have said that they're not going to trade him until after the draft at the very least. So maybe they wait around and get picks for next year. They also did just sign Hollywood Brown this morning.
The Eagles?
Yeah. So they've got Hollywood Brown. They've got A.J. Brown. They got Devontae Smith. I think they're going to trade him at some point, but are they going to get the asking price? Will the Patriots pony up?
See, I'm so indifferent about the situation because if you wait until after the draft for the Eagles,
right,
that does you no good
for this year at least.
Yeah, that does you no good. So that means you'd hold on to him for another season.
Yeah, and maybe like we talk about the 30th pick being the first rounder heading back to Miami. Maybe it's the Patriots who are interested, but they're 31st. And it's like, all right, well, that's basically a second round pick. We want more. And the Eagles aren't willing to give, or the Patriots aren't willing to give up more. Maybe that's the standoff going on right now. But I do think that's the Waddle market being set of, all right, it's going to, for Jalen Waddle, it costs you a first and a third. What's A.J. Brown going to cost you, who has shown the ability to be an elite receiver at a higher level than Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, if Philly were to hold on to A.J. Brown until, let's say the beginning of, training camp, and, A.J. Brown's like, I'm not going to show up to training camp. I'm going to pay the fines, whatever. To me, that would be like, all right, the Philly's going to have to try to find a suitor for him, quickly. Because, again, I mean, if they don't have any plans for him in the future, that's fine. And AJ's going to have to pay all those fines if that is the case. But I would say they'd try to move off of him as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And again, I think his value increases after the draft, if that makes sense. That's how I look at A.J. Brown's value, is if the Eagles say, yeah, we're going to hold on to him after the draft, I could see why, because all your top prospects in the draft are gone. And if there are some holes to fill on another team, you now have to go grab a guy and you have to spend a little extra for A.J. Brown.
Mark in Paris on the text line says, or they could give A.J. away for free like we did. Horrible trade, by the way. Yes. I don't want to seem like I'm defending the A.J. Brown trade. Horrible trade. They made horrible picks with the picks they got. But they got value for A.J. Brown. They got a first and a third. Again, you wish you would use those picks better. In fact, I wouldn't have made the trade at all. But it's not like they got nothing back. It may have felt like they didn't get a ton back because you had to make the pick immediately, right? I think trades, when you trade away a player and you get a first-round pick back, if you do it 2 months in advance, it feels like you're getting more because you get 2 months of buildup of, we got 2 first-round picks now. But that night, you lost A.J. Brown and had to pick immediately, and you took Treylon Burks. Then you traded out of the first round and took Roger McCreary later on. So they got value for him. They did not give A.J. Brown away for free. They just made horrible picks with the picks they got.
Right. And again, you go back and look at that trade, and like you mentioned, it's the suspense of the buildup of those 2 months, and then you go do it the night of. And I just recall seeing the video of Traylon Burks getting the phone call, and then his phone to his ear, and he just has that scared look on his face. I'm just like, how do you replace a guy like A.J. Brown?
I like Traylon Burks. I do. I liked him coming out. I thought he was a good player. But the injuries and the expectations, I think, were the main reason for his downfall here. Is you were basically told you have to be A.J. Brown. And obviously he was not close to that, even when he was on the field, which wasn't very often. So anyway, that's a different conversation. A.J. Brown, that's the big domino I think we're still waiting for in the NFL trade market. There's a few others out there, but I think A.J. Brown is the one that was expected to be moved that still hasn't. We'll see if that happens before the draft, after the draft, or at all. One thing I did want to bring up, just Titans related, is the Titans cap space. Have you looked at this? It's still ridiculous.
Yeah, and it near 70 million or something.
Yes.
Like that?
So right now, Spot Track has the Titans with $58 million in cap space. That's before the Calvin Ridley adjustment, which will take another $11 million. So it'll be about $70 million in cap space. And that's with, I believe, almost all that they don't have are Jacob Martin and Tony Adams. So Martin will take about $5 million off of that. Adams, a couple more. But you're still going to have upwards of $60 million in cap space. Not saying you have to use it, but it does make you wonder if maybe they are gearing up for something else, because they're holding on to a lot of cap space that maybe would have been better to front load some of these deals and leave more for the future rather than backload them and keep more cap space open for you this year. It's very interesting.
Something is probably, brewing there. And I don't want to toot my own horn here, Jake, but I'm going to stick to the model. After I was done with my little mock draft, I did have $58 million left over. So,
yeah,
just putting that out there. I'm not saying
you and Mike Borgonzi.
Not saying we're in tandem here, Mike Borgonzi, but we have something that we're thinking about.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. And Caleb on the text line says, go sign Jennings. After the Ridley situation, I don't see them doing that anymore. There's not a whole lot of big names out there. I wouldn't mind going out and getting another pass rusher. Like AJ Epinesa, I think, is still out there. Joey Bosa, but I don't see him coming here. But I think there are options for you to add depth pieces. There's not really anybody that you could go after right now and say, that's going to be a huge piece for us, unless you're trading for somebody. But I don't know who they would trade for that wouldn't cost you a decent amount of draft capital. Anyway, that was just an observation, because I was looking at cap space the other day. I'm like, how do they still have $70 million in cap space with all the moves that they've made?
I'm curious. I want to get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
If they have that much money, would you go and grab another offensive lineman somewhere?
Well, and I guess that's probably what you might look at is, are they gearing up to go get a guard or something like that? Like Wyatt Teller's still out there. Zeitler's still out there if you wanted to bring him back. Not that those would be bank-breaking moves, but I think you have to guess that there's still another shoe to drop with all this cap space they have. There are still areas of this roster that can be upgraded in free agency. And I wonder if maybe in this second wave, third wave of free agency, we start to see a couple more moves from the Titans.
Is the Skoronski deal done? Or is there anything on that move?
I haven't heard anything. Typically, a lot of those will happen training camp-ish, early training camp. So I would guess sometime over the summer they get that done. It could happen earlier, but I would guess Skoronski and Simmons probably both get some sort of extension, adjustment to their deal. Simmons will get a pay raise of some sort before the season starts. But maybe that's what part of it is that they're gearing up for some money from that. I think a Simmons extension might actually save you money.
Because you probably restructure that to hit on the back end. Yeah.
But it is, I am interested to see what that looks like. Dan Moore's $20 million salary is guaranteed now, by the way. He's your left tackle this year. Jeffrey Simmons right now is a $25 million cap hit, but those are your only two guys with cap hits over $20 million after Ridley gets his adjustment. Franklin Myers is 15, Taylor's 14, Jermaine Johnson's is 13. So you've got some money to go out and make some moves. We'll see if Mike Borgonzi has anything else up his sleeve. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call. Last call for phones as we'll wrap up the show when we come back. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game final segment on this Tuesday. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, Chase and Big Joe are coming up at the top of the hour. Tomorrow on the show, Corey Curtis from News 2 will be in. Excited, I believe, to be in the same room as Corey for the first time in like a month. It's just been back and forth. We haven't been able to sync it up. He was at the Combine a few weeks ago. Then I was traveling for the SEC tournament. Then last week I was out on Broadway. So excited. Corey and me in studio tomorrow. Going to be fun.
Gonna love it. He had a good segment last night on Channel 2.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. NCAA tournament, Preds, Titans, all the things with Corey Curtis tomorrow. So excited about that 9 to noon right
His
here
Cryptic Live.
on 102. Yeah, of course. All of the stuff. The Avengers, everything we get into with Corey Curtis. Can't wait for it. But tonight, WBC final. Nick, I know you are fired up. We started the show with it. I'm picking the U.S. I am. Venezuela, they've got the advantage in terms of experience pitching wise. Eduardo Rodriguez, longtime veteran in the MLB. Nolan McLean is a rookie, but I just think the U.S., I think the bats are going to step up tonight after only scoring 2 runs on Sunday. You're coming off an extended rest compared to Venezuela, who played last night. I'm taking the Americans. Play Freebird.
do it. I don't want to say it's been overplayed a little too much, but Freebird, I love it. It's an American song. I get it. Very patriotic. Can we switch up a little bit?
I think
Toby
this is the end of it, right? Like
Yeah.
I think after this WBC, we can move on from Freebird being the song for U.S. sports. But it was so great for hockey, and then you get the WBC right after. I think it fit, but I agree with you. Let's find a new angle for the next one.
I mean, I'm cool with hockey. Keep it with hockey. I'm cool with that. But as for, baseball, let's go a little bit more of like a Toby Keith.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, courtesy of Red, White, and Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe America the Beautiful. I'm cool with something like that.
You slow it down.
Slow it down a little bit.
There you go.
Just like a
like
nice
slow home run trot to America the Beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe do a little Kirk Gibson round in second. I'm cool with that. So, but no, tonight's going to be a fun one to watch. Ronald Acuna had a nice interview last night with, Tom Verducci, talking about just the team overall.
Yeah.
Venezuela's a tough team. They really are.
They're really good. Yeah.
I do think Aaron Judge shows up to the occasion. I was very hesitant on the roster, or I guess starting lineup last game, putting Gunnar Henderson over Alex Bregman, Will Turner over Cal Raleigh, Will Smith. Sorry, what I said,
Will Turner.
Yeah,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know why it's on my mind, but Will Smith over Cal Raleigh. It was interesting. I'm intrigued to see what the lineup's going to be like tonight for catchers and also third base.
Yeah, it's Mark DeRosa got a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Got a lot of heat for we've already punched our ticket to the quarterfinals when that was not true. I think he can make it all blow over. No one's gonna remember that if the U.S. wins tonight. And really, no one should remember it anyway because they made it to the quarterfinals. They've gone through. They've made it to the championship. But I think Mark DeRosa, you're gonna get a pass for some of the issues that have happened if you can just take home the trophy anyway.
If I'm him, I would resign from being the USA manager after this
one.
WBC. Yeah, because he's already done it twice, along with he's a MLB analyst on the MLB Network.
Yeah.
He does a really good job at film breakdown and all that.
I like Mark DeRosa.
Yeah. Mark DeRosa, great analyst, great guy. I'm sure he's a decent manager, but you have an all-star team. You're managing an all-star team. How much coaching are you really doing?
Yeah, no. I mean, he's basically just filling out a lineup card.
Right. And again, I'm not discrediting his value as a coach on this team, but I was the first one on here with Connor. We were talking back and forth about it on Saturday. I was irate of just his, we already punched our ticket. No, you can't say that if you're a manager. Looking at the DR in the U.S. right now, Albert Pujols is more of a complete manager for Major League Baseball because he went into the Dominican Winter League and was the manager there for the longest time after his retirement. So that's where I stand on all that.
I'm excited for tonight. I think the U.S. is a better team, but it's baseball, right? Like you just never know. It's one game. The championship last year was so much fun with Japan and the U.S. And I think you got superstars on both sides, Acuna, Judge. It's going to be fun. John on the text line asked, does Scooble get anything if they win since he quit? He's in the dugout, right? Guys, I understand it. He's got 500 million reasons not to pitch again for this team.
I'm pretty upset by that.
I know you are, and I
I'm-
know people are upset by it. And maybe if he wasn't on my team, I wouldn't be defending him as much. But like, it makes sense that he didn't come back and pitch.
Yes, but let's all be honest. If it came down to the DR and it was Skeens or Skubal, I feel like DeRosa would have went with Skubal, and I don't know if it would have been a different outcome, but I'm glad. That's the only reason why I'm happy he wasn't on the team. I'm not saying he's a bad pitcher, Jake. I'm just saying
He's the best pitcher in the world.
oh, I don't know about that one, Chief. I think we're looking at Paul Skeens right now as the best pitcher on planet Earth right now. I mean, he just I wouldn't say eviscerated, but definitely took care of business against the
He
DR.
had 2 strikeouts.
It doesn't matter.
I know he was good. He was good, but like, don't act like his 4 1/3 with 2 strikeouts was the greatest pitching performance of all time.
Held him to 1 run.
He's great.
That's it.
Paul Skeens can settle for being the second best pitcher on planet. Very close. Second.
Hypothetically, you think Skubal gets more than 2 strikeouts against the DR?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tarek Skubal's led the MLB in strikeouts back-to-back years.
Why didn't y'all start off the show by arguing this?
I
Why'd
don't
you
know.
wait till the very end?
I know. We've run out of time.
Sorry.
Dr. Crane, always great having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Chase and Big Joe coming up next year on 102.5 The Game.